तो गाइस मैंने बड़ी मुश्किल से भाई लोग वीडियो निकाला है भाई। बहुत ही भाई टाइम लग गया ये वाला वीडियो निकालने में। भाई जब मैंने ये वीडियो देखा ना तो भाई बहुत ही ज़्यादा मुझे इस वीडियो पे सीखने को मिला। बाइक बहुत ही तगड़ा बन जाएगा अगर आप लोग भाई देख लोगे तो बाइक तो बहुत ही 100% भाई आप लोगों का तगड़ा बन जाएगा। इतना तो मैं गारंटी के साथ कहता हूँ। तो अभी रुको रहो भाई लोग, वीडियो निकाल रहा हूँ। तो देखो भाई लोग,
What's up, guys? Jeff Cavalier, Athletic. By popular demand, the important to understand health is also going to be a big concern of mine as a physical. There's some muscles that aren't even come from some of the heavier performed back exercises. Not to mention, of course, we have the old standbys like the lats. And I'm going to show you exercises to help to target them by altering the position of your elbows in space. Also, the teres major, which is a lat helper, but has a very unique way that we can attack it if we use the right exercises. And of course, we have some of the smaller muscles of the back, no less important though, and all of them are going to matter. We're going to have to show you how to hit them if we want one workout to be truly perfect. Now, while I say the perfect workout, what I'm actually talking about is not just one workout, but actually two. And the reason for that is, though we kind of conflict a lot about the latest in science when it comes to training, one thing I think we can pretty much agree on at this point is that twice a week frequency for a muscle group is probably better when it comes to building that muscle up than just doing it once a week. But the issue is, how do we do it? Well, the first thing is you're going to have to ask yourself how intensely you want to train or you're willing to train. Because if you're going to go balls out, then you probably want to make sure that you're only training that muscle group once a week. And I mean high intensity, like Mike Menser style intensity. And if you're looking for a workout like that, we do have our 100 back workout that uses effective reps you're going to want to check out. That being said, what if you just want to do kind of a standard workout that a lot of people have access to? Well, that's where you're going to want to do these two workouts, because here we're going to equate that volume that we would normally do in one workout and split it up over two. The other good thing is, while doing this, we give ourselves some extra time. In other words, these workouts can be shorter, and because of that, we can put another muscle group on the same day. And as you'll see here, as we build out this entire perfect workout series, you're going to do exactly that. With the back workout you're about to do here, pair it up with a bicep workout. But we'll cover this as we break down the series. Right now, we have to talk about those specific back workouts 1 and 2. And so with back workout 1, you're going to start this workout the way we start all the perfect workouts, and that is with a primer. Because in order to get the most out of whatever muscle you're going to train, you need to get it warmed up and ready to go. And for me, one of the best ways to do this is with something called a scap pull-down primer. Because if you want to perform better in your back workouts, guess what you need to warm up? Your shoulders. Because there's no movement you're going to do in the gym for your back that doesn't involve or require a lot of shoulder mobility and looseness. So what this does is it warms up the entire shoulder girdle. Because we get to a lat pull down machine like this, we weight it rather lightly because you'll see we're doing just 1 to 2 sets with 10 to 15 repetitions performed at a very submaximal level. But the first part is a scap pull, where your elbows will stay locked out and you're simply trying to pull the bar down 1 or 2 inches. And what that does is it activates the scapula. And we know that the scapula is attached to the shoulder joint via the acromion, and that's a key point because you want to get normal shoulder biomechanics where you better warm up both the scapula and the shoulder joint itself. The second half of this is actually where we warm up the shoulder joint. Pulling down through one good full range of motion repetition is going to help us to get our shoulders into really good high flexion and all the way back behind our body in some good shoulder extension. Now, if we do these and we get ourselves warmed up, then we're ready to actually start to perform what we need to do, and then the first of our heavy exercises, and it's the seated cable row. But this one we're going to perform with our elbows wide. How come? Because there's 2 different focuses we can have when we train our back. If we go nice and wide with the elbows, we can work more of the upper back muscles. If we go narrow with the elbows, we can work more of the lats. Here, I actually want you to focus on getting the upper back, but also the rear delts, because this exercise, the seated cable row, does a great job of hammering the rear delts. It does it with a load that you're typically not used to using on some of those really light rear delt exercises. And it does a great job of growing them. You do 2 to 3 sets here of 6 to 8 repetitions. until form failure. So when this starts to break down and not look the way it's supposed to, then your set's over. Just make sure you're using enough weight here because tension is a driver of hypertrophy. And feeling that heavy weight, doing the reps slowly, is a key way to perform these and get the growth without ruining your joints in the process. The next exercise up here is the traditional lat pull down. But here I want you to use a narrow grip because again, when we narrow up that grip, we can get our lats more involved. How do you do this? One of the recommendations I use is just swap the bar out that you typically use. Instead of using a wide grip lat pull down bar, just put the tricep push down bar on. Then you have no choice but to narrow up the grip, get your elbows out in front of your body, and get the lats on greater stretch as you perform every single rep. Now here I want you to do 2 to 3 sets with a weight that would cause failure in the 10 to 12 rep range. And when I say that, I mean actually cause failure in the 10 to 12 rep range. Not many reps in reserve here because a lot of times we don't train hard enough as it is. If we train to failure, we objectively know that we've reached failure. But we have another way to do that. We perform some partial repetitions to ensure that we've gotten all the way through failure. And what's nice about this exercise and with a lot of the pulling exercises is those partial repetitions occur at the very top with that stretch position of the lats. So you knock out about 2 or 3 or 4 extra partials until you can't even perform them anymore, and we know that the job is done. Again, 2 to 3 sets of this exercise, and we move on.
अरे ये तो वो यूट्यूबर है जिनके 1 लाख सब्सक्राइबर है। हेलो मैम, आप वो यूट्यूबर रक्षा है ना?
हाँ बोलो।
मैम मेरा गोल है यूट्यूब पर 1 मिलियन सब्सक्राइबर तक पहुंचना। कोई सजेशन दीजिए जिस
Move on. The next job here for you to do is something called the straight arm push down. And I would say that this is one of the most underappreciated, overlooked, effective back exercises because it trains something different. Straight arm scapular strength. And the main job here is driving your elbows down without turning this into a tricep push down yet to get into that deep lat connection and get a better contraction of the lats. Now, I said yet because we can actually get some additional eccentric repetitions when we've reached concentric failure. We know, as science has proven, that eccentric contractions are more capable than concentric contractions. So even when we reach failure, eccentrically, we have more left in the tank. So how do you do this? You do your 8 to 10 repetitions here till failure, and then you cheat the bar back. In other words, you just row it back close. Use the triceps now to push down and then eccentrically allow yourself to control another repetition with the lats only. You do it again. You continue to cheat these eccentric only repetitions that allows us to take this set to and through failure where the real gains can be. Again, 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10. The next one we have here is now a 1.5 rep dumbbell pullover ladder. Sounds like a lot, but it's actually quite simple. The dumbbell pullover is one of the best stretch exercises you can do for the lats. It simply puts yourself in that stretch position on every single repetition. And you can use some pretty good weight here. What you want to do, though, is sort of accentuate that stretch position if you can. How do you do it? You go in a 1.5 rep fashion. In other words, take it down, come back up just a half away, go back down into that stretch position, and then you hold it 1 second. Now, the next time you go down, you still perform the 1.5 reps. Just perform for 2 seconds. So we're going to continue to escalate up or ladder up that whole time to spend more of that time in that tension. Remember, it's nothing magical. Nothing magical. Partials or elongations or lengthened part. That's all not it, guys. What's it is that you have tension coming in the form of the weight and tension coming in the form of the stretch. When you combine those together, that higher tension that you incur is going to help you to have more stimulus for growth. You do 1 set of that until failure, until you can't do anymore. And then finally, we have one last exercise here, the bodyweight or banded pull-up done as a failure or burnout set, again, with additional partials. So what that looks like is maybe you struggle to do pull-ups right now, and maybe you're just starting out, you need to use a band to perform your repetitions. That's fine. You do as many banded repetitions as you can, and then when you're done, you do some partial repetitions in that band to finish out that one last burnout set. If you're capable of doing any bodyweight pull-ups first, do those to failure, then step into your band, take that all the way to failure, and then take your partial repetitions at the end. I always like to take one bodyweight exercise to sort of wrap it all up and finish up any perfect workout, because ultimately, if you want to move your body in space, command your body in space to be athletic, you should end with some